Hi everyone, online personal trainer Gavin Townsend here. Just going to answer a few questions now just quickly. They're all pretty much the same sort of questions. It's around body fat percentage. So on my Facebook today we've had David, Neil, Julie and Tara. David's asked, what's the best way to burn fat on the lower back and sides? And also, is there an alternative drink to water that's fairly healthy because he's getting bored of water? Well, David, the body consists of 60% water. At babies, they're consistent levels of about 80%, but in the male body, you're expecting about 60%. So learn how to love water. You could look at herbal teas as an alternative. Try and stay away from caffeinated drinks too much. Caffeine can turn you into me. Carbonated drinks as well, they just bloat you, make you fat. So a good alternative option would be to look at herbal teas. Green tea is a great option. It's got diuretic properties, so it will make you want to go to the toilet, but it's also got fat burning properties as well. In most fat burners and thermogenics, green tea is traceable. So learn to love water, get over it, have some green tea in your system. And look at the fruity herbal tea variety. At least you're still keeping water in the system. So Neil went to ask, will love handles go away after my body fat percentage is below 10%? They won't go away, they'll be there, they just won't be so obvious. It's a common sense approach. Guys, you need to learn that the more muscle your body has, the slimmer you look, the more fat you burn. It's a simple rule. It's there for men and for women. It's a very hard concept for women to grasp. This is why I've got a fat loss group for women. It's called GC Fat Loss Group for Women. We've got just under 400 members now, and it's only been on Facebook for about 6 weeks. And I'm just talking about the misconceptions there all the time. So you need to get a good combination of weight training and cardio with your exercise. If you're new into exercise, I would recommend looking at 2 or 3 split muscle group workouts to allow your body 7 to 10 days to fully recover. I would also advise the likes of regular cardio exercise to keep your general fitness up, but also help with the fat burning process. Also, I'd advise you to look at the likes of BCAs during all exercise to help prevent muscle wastage, because again, the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn, the slimmer you look. It's a simple rule. It's very hard for people to grasp that, but if you do more research into it, if you adopt that approach into your lifestyle, that would help you. Too much cardiovascular training can be too damaging against your muscles. However, again, if you have plenty of BCAs, there is an argument that that will prevent the muscle wastage. But to get the best results, I find that you should look at sculpting your body with the likes of weight training, and also look at the likes of cardio to help with the stubborn layers of fat weight. So Neil, your love handles will always be there, but depending on how much fat percentage you have, depends on how obvious they are. I've got slight love handles. I can just about pinch just under an inch. I've put about a stone on since my last photo shoot. I'll be cutting down 2 days before to Christmas for another photo shoot, and I plan to get to sub 5% body fat. You'll still be able to pinch a little bit of body fat, which is healthy. I find that anyone who goes extreme with their body fat percentage they're more receptive to getting ill, both mentally and physically. It really does take it out of the system. I've known people to do crash diets and their eyes have been affected because it's actually gone as far as taking the body fat out of the back of the retina, which is just dangerous. But that's the extremes of body fat percentage. So throw it back at you, Neil. Also, go by how you look in the mirror. Again, looking at these love handles, try and look at the idea of just taking photos each week, and obviously go by how you look. And if you look slim, if they're not too obvious, then great, stay on top of it. Keep working on keeping that trunk really tight. Accept that the body will have a level of body fat, but again, by fixating on how you look, you then stop fixating too much on the body fat percentage. Some people look great with body fat. Some people look really weird with no body fat. So just be aware of this. So Julie, what's your opinion on a low carb, high protein, moderate fat diet? Great. I've been doing it all my life. I did have somebody rant at me a few weeks ago because I gave this nutrition plan to an athlete, and they slated me all over their social media, and they wonder why I'm not friends with them anymore. It's an each to their own. Look into something called metabolic typing. Some people work really well with fats and high proteins and low carbs. Some people work better with high carbs, low fats, high proteins. It's all about getting a macro balance. Your macronutrients are a combination of simply fats, proteins and carbohydrates. I tend to advise many people to have their carbohydrates mainly between 10 and 2 if they work typically 9 till 5, because your body's more active in the daytime, mentally and physically. And obviously if you're exercising in the morning or in the evening, you either need the energy after training or the energy before training. So I've had a lot of people lose a lot of weight just by getting into the rule that they have protein in the morning, main carb and protein and veg meals during the daytime, split it up, and then the likes of a fish supper with some greens. Always be aware that there are carbohydrate traces in the likes of vegetables. Do your research. I always go by low GI foods, so I love sweet potato, new potatoes. Funnily enough, broccoli has protein in, and I'm a big fan of broccoli and just generally having lots of greens. So just mix it up. Try and just work with what works for you. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, just play around with it a bit. But if you go for the rule that most people generally work better to having the main carb intake in the middle of the day, then that's great. Also, don't be afraid to have carbohydrates after exercise, guys. That really helps with body recovery. So I tend to advise most people to have fruit directly after exercise because the fructose levels in the sugar really helps with recovery. So if you're typically having protein shakes after exercise, look at blueberries and the likes of apples directly afterwards. The antioxidants and the sugars there really help with recovery. And then having a meal within an hour or so after training as well will help with your muscle growth and repair. Last one, Tara. What's the best way to get a flat toned abs? So what the best way? I thought my English was great. I'll rephrase that. What's the best way to get flat toned abs? Right, Tara, simple. Diet, nutrition, focus on what you're eating. Get again a ratio between good nutrition, get a ratio between your cardiovascular exercise to work on those stubborn fat layers and your weight training. Sculpt your body, get the muscle to grow so that it helps with fat burning, and also get the cardiovascular exercise in to help with the extra excess bit of fat. And nutrition should be balanced well between good fats, good proteins, lean proteins and carbohydrates. And again, going on to my previous rant about the whole carbohydrates during the day and ideally simple sugars directly after exercise such as fruit, that should help you. Training your legs really helps also. So this one's for you, Tara. Training your legs would really help you with regards to building more core strength, but also sculpting the body. So many people, especially guys, they walk around like little legs, big body syndrome, and they're round shouldered because they're only focused on the mirror muscles. I'd really strongly advise to sculpt those legs and try and work your legs as much as you do your upper body, and naturally your core will form. Try and challenge your body as much as possible. So just to give you an example of the sort of training I do each week, I do 6 different muscle groups each week. Right, so I typically train my back, traps, I do an arms workout, I do chest, I do lots of shoulders, and I do 2 types of leg workouts. I do one where I'm isolating my hamstrings and my calves, and another one where I'm working my glutes and also the likes of my quads. I also do a plyometrics workout each week, so that's jumps and whatever else have you. And cardiovascular wise, I only do probably 2 cardio sessions a week. So if you look at the ratio between my weight training and my cardio trainings sessions, you're probably looking at about a ratio of 1 to 3. So 1 cardio session for every weight training, because I find if I went the other way, I'll be wasting too much muscle. And you ever see those sort of people who go on the treadmill who 3 years on they still look the same? It's because they're wasting their muscle constantly. They're never going to change their body by constantly working at this muscle breakdown way. It just doesn't help. Putting it simply, if they're not fueling themselves properly, if they're constantly breaking their muscle tissues down, doing this repetitive run on the treadmill or that regular cardio session, they're not challenging the rest of the body. They're not growing good posture. They're not developing muscles to grow. And I always find that clients always have a better result by building more muscle to burn more fat. So there you go, David, Neil, Julie and Tara. I hope that helped. Rant over and out. I'm going to crack on. If you want to subscribe to my channel, feel free.